it's just, a lot of frags from carrying bags of stuff and smashing buttons everywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
all right.
but
Did you
hey,
get your manicure today?
No, not yet. It's a little bit later, man. I read this amazing article that I shared on my Twitter feed this morning about Gen Z and how they communicate. And, and in us, and sort of them, it's in the Washington Post today, but I thought it was really cute because, when you say good job with a period to a Gen Zer, they're all looking at it going, because they think that period means like sarcasm or like duh or something like
Really?
that. So you're insulting them basically when you say good job with a period. You say good job without a period, it's okay. They don't use punctuation. And they use a lot of exclamation points, and it's a good thing. It's not like frowned upon like in our world. We're like, oh my God, more exclamation points.
Punctuation.
Yeah. That's the one they use. And but a fascinating article. And I just thought it was thinking about all the workforce dilemmas now with everybody who grew up writing letters, formal letters, which is with everyone who grew up texting. And that cutoff, surprisingly, is at around 25 to 30 years old. It's in that range. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought they were younger. But other than that, just watching, just various train wrecks going on all over the place.
I don't subscribe to the Washington Post. I am a subscriber to the other communist rag, the New York Times.
Yeah, I do both. I'm just a firm believer in if you're putting out a lot of content like that, and you have editorial review boards, you don't have as many fact-checking mistakes. Sure, you blunder sometimes in huge ways, where some eager beaver fakes all the stuff, and then the article wins the Pulitzer Prize or something, and then realize it was all a bunch of bullshit. But for the most part, at least you're getting, in my mind, the content is somewhat verifiable. 90 to 95% accuracy is from me. So if you don't have time, it's a great place to start. But they are both, particularly the Washington Post, I noticed, has started seeping into those clickbait headlines. And I just hate that shit, man. I never expected that from the Washington Post, but that's just, Amazon basically. So,
well, I mean, it's also got to, look, you got to, at the end of the day, they need the revenue. So,
and you got to give the people what they want. They're not going to come to your stuff.
Just not paying enough yet. So, that's.
What are you up to now in salary? What are you up to in salary now with them?
I'm not permitted to disclose. They'll knock me off if I.
Oh yeah, that's an NTK. NTK.
Yeah.
NTK. That's all you got to say is NTK.
All right. Speaking of kids and the deep state, there was news yesterday that is going to have a massive impact on the world. Probably bigger than the internal combustion engine. Scientists funded by the U.S. government, or as conservatives like to say, the deep state, have a massive breakthrough on fusion energy. And that is they had a positive gain for the first time ever on fusion, beat the Chinese to the punch, who were getting closer supposedly to break even. Thank you, Chuck Schotten, for pointing that out to me in a discussion we had. This is gigantic news, dude. Between fusion energy and AI and robotics, the entire world is going to have a dramatic shift. I mean, our kids, the world our kids will be living in is astounding. When you think about no climate impact, abundant, cheap/free energy. I mean, this dynamic, when it finally is usable on a regular daily basis, shifts the entire world dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't count on it being free, but I agree, because if you have something that's carbon neutral or deficit generating, the fusion reaction, if contained, is theoretically able to generate unlimited amounts of energy. We're very close to that without, risk of a fission reaction, which is, kind of the bad nuclear stuff. So to me, I think, look, this is for all the climate folks. Speaking of Gen Zers, you have to include nuclear energy in whatever your environmental cleanup plan is for fossil fuels. It just has to be part of that. I know everybody goes, oh, the waste and this and that, but the amount of waste that, eventually that will be fixed, but the amount of waste that's actually stored, in like those salt caverns, 40 miles below the surface, is diminuous compared to the benefits you get from it. Yeah. And my feeling is within 100 years, everybody will know how to clean up any of the fission stuff, but fusion, I don't think it has any output of radioactive leftover stuff.
Nothing. Well, there's going to be a press conference on this tomorrow, but this Financial Times piece is really good and does a really great description of how it all functions. And it is, look, this is gigantic news, like massive. This is like the holy grail of energy. And when you have something like this, then the geopolitical dynamic changes, the just basic existence of human beings changes dramatically. So,
well, think about what happens to all the petrol states.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always talking occasionally about Mideast politics and, the governments that are there. And I always bring the point to any of my friends from those places is what happens when nobody wants the oil or gas anymore.
Exactly.
Well, that day's coming. I mean, we're not talking that peak oil nonsense or anything like that. I'm just saying that a better technology comes along and your fossil fuel masters are going to switch.
Exactly. So, well, and here's the thing, like, there's obviously a long adoption curve to this, but if you think about it, that adoption is probably going to accelerate dramatically when you consider the lower cost, the lower impact, the abundance of it. My feeling is it'll be a rapid adjustment in terms of power plants and vehicles and everything else being able to utilize this. So we'll see what happens. But to me, this is.
Well, yeah, it's very optimistic. It's good to see these kinds of breakthroughs. It reminds me a lot of the life sciences breakthroughs 20 years ago, the Human Genome Project. I mean, this is big time in the sense that if this, I mean, I haven't read the article, so I'm presuming it's talking about this, but I know with like the Pebble reactors, the small fission ones, that, a lot of people envision these little mini reactors going into giant office buildings and office complexes and things like that.
College
when
campuses.
That's fission though. When you're swapping that out, it's like pulling out a friggin' battery pack out of and swapping those out. And it's easily modular, easily contained. It's not like big barrels. The problem with most fission reactors is that to clean the cooling rods, which is the uranium that essentially boils the water that creates the steam that then drives the turbines that creates the energy, that water gets contaminated. So in these fission ones, that's the problem. It's like, what do you do with all this? I mean, we're talking tons of liquid radioactive waste. Millions of barrels probably. And, it's tough to get rid of. Well, the Pebble ones now, it's just a little battery pack size thing. And in fusion, there's nothing.
Yep.
So, you have to accept that this is the way of the future.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. It's, again, the world is changing at an incredibly accelerated pace. And
and one more point is that, when you look at what's going on with technology, let's say vis-a-vis the West and China or US and China, you clearly see that in a couple of fields, the US is not giving it up the lead. Yeah. And one is chips. This is another one. And then to me, the AI pieces, particularly the quantum stuff, around the new stuff between relativity and quantum, the gravitational forces stuff that people are working on now, that's what we won't give that up. So as long as we keep staying ahead, the West, then, we always have the technology edge against any potential. And then, people have to just conform to basic European, parliamentary democracy. So you're not going to get access to this stuff. I applaud it.
Niblet says, I'm still bullish on oil and gas investments as oil and gas is the only practical way to bridge the time gap needed to roll out nuclear more fully. Yeah, look, I think we've got a long time before fusion ever gets to everybody. And obviously, We're starting to see a turnaround, at least in the United States, on nuclear, which is exciting. But yeah, you're right. In between, oil and gas is oil and gas, and it runs the world. So it's critical.
It's already there. It's already there. So, it's transitioning to the next thing, whatever that is. I mean, there's a guy that I've seen on Twitter a few times. He's a big Saudi oil guy. And, a lot of the way he frames stuff up is kind of annoying, but he's super smart on, everything from the SPRs and pricing and different sectors and things. And he's always, these guys, I mean, they have an agenda, and they're always going after the, poor, what's that girl, Greta Thunberg or whatever, the Scandinavian one. And for some reason, they just can't stand her. And I'm like, God, that's just so weak, guys. It's like he's 20 or something. But the point is that he does have good information. He advocates for this. He says, look, just like with coal, Europe's firing up coal plants again, I guess, and nuke plants and stuff to meet this, this term. There's a transition time with them.
Right.
And, coal, oil, and gas. So, yeah, I mean, it's still got plenty of runway in those sectors. And I think you're right, Niblets, that, getting into an energy sort of ETF right now is probably a good move as a hedge, if you're not philosophically against it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to run for a while. It's the cheapest one until all this other stuff gets going.
Yeah, look, it's not going away. That's for sure. Not anytime soon. All right, let's get into some DeFi news, Joe.
Lots to go on.
You sent over this Reuters piece this morning, was a little disturbing. Exclusive, the U.S. Justice Department is split over charging Binance as crypto world falters. This isn't just charging Binance. This is they're debating whether to charge CZ and other executives and the company, primarily related to money laundering. If I'm not mistaken. Excuse me, I got a dog losing his mind back here.
Right.
And so I'm gathering that the regulatory infractions are related to not properly screening for money laundering, not that they were actually intentionally laundering money. But
I did see some mention in there about North Korea and Iran and some sanctions evasion stuff, but I think you're right. It ties to the fact they weren't KYCing anyone.
Right.
And so this investigation has evidently been going on for 4 years. Which I had always heard chatter about this in the halls of power, let's say, and that well, this is actually law firms, so it's like
okay,
deeper state.
Joe has all those deep state connections. I just wanted to make sure.
But no, I mean, it's not like anybody's telling me anything, or I have any inside scoop. You just get sort of read the tea leaves, and there's been a lot of talk about this going on for years. And I think now they're just trying to decide what to do, and they don't want to tank the market is part of it. And, again, I think I tweeted on this a little bit this morning, but I said, look, just get your deal done. I mean, you know me, I always tell everybody to do the deal. It's like, if you're CZ, do the deal now. Now's the time to do the deal.
Here's the thing. Like, I got to believe CZ's like, just fucking tell me how much. You know what I mean?
I think so too. Yeah.
But here's my question. Like, who's floating this shit? Right? Somebody's putting this article out, and putting out this story, and what's their motivation for it? Right? What's the incentive for whomever's putting it out? Is it Binance disclosing it because they want to push the Justice Department for a deal or to get something done faster because they don't want them digging anymore? Or is it the Justice Department doing it to put pressure on Binance and CZ to come to the table and settle and create some fear? I don't know. I don't have any clue, but it says the charges are under investigation are unlicensed money transmission. So they didn't have money transmittal licenses in the United States. That's probably really easy to prove. Money laundering conspiracy, which that would require, I would assume, with the term conspiracy, that they were engaged and involved with actual money laundering, which to me, if they have evidence of that, I'm a little shocked that they haven't just pursued it. And then criminal sanctions violations, which is allowing the transfer of funds to people who have been sanctioned on the bad behavior list. But, you know, the 4 people they interviewed said those are the charges, said no final charging decisions have been made, though prosecutors consider Zhao and some other executives to be subjects of the investigation. One source familiar with the situation said, ultimately, the Justice Department would bring indictments against Binance and could bring indictments against Binance and executives, negotiate a settlement, or close the case without taking any action at all. Little has been revealed about the case. Reuters reportedly previously in 2020, prosecutors requested extensive internal records from Binance about its anti-money laundering checks, along with communications involving Zhao and other executives. Says the new reporting shows that the case has shadowed Binance for most of its 5 years in existence, shaping Zhao's management of the company while he drove its explosive growth around the world. Blah, 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 blah. Strict secrecy rules on employees, telling them to use email as little as possible to communicate using encrypted messaging services, according to company messages that Reuters has previously reported. Says that they kept weak anti-money laundering controls, processed over $10 billion in payments for criminals and companies seeking to evade U.S. sanctions, and plotted to evade regulators in the United States and elsewhere. Binance has disputed the articles. I've seen him go off on how shitty Reuters was to interact with on this and misquoting, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, the bottom line is if indictments come down without a deal already in place, and it includes CZ, it's going to have a massive impact on the market, at least on BNB as a token. Niblet says, why can't CZ just pay whatever fines and move on, just like the HSBS keeps doing? Does. Right. And that's really the point, right? You can have a bank violate all of these laws, and they have repeatedly over and over and over again, and it's always just a fine. The guys who are doing it, they're not indicted. It's just, hey, come pay this fine, which is a minuscule percentage of everything you've made, and we'll walk away. But when it comes to a crypto, Niblet's clarified HSBC. When it comes to a crypto entity, not so much. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
You know, what worries me a little bit is that Tornado Cash story, in the sense that, you know, I mean, what worries me for CZ and Binance, and you know how they went in and just tore that protocol apart and went after the developer and supposedly had the input and output of both sides of that. And if they're talking about North Korean and Iranian sanctions evasion, you know, I'm wondering if that was going through Tornado, and you know, and they have the, you know, they have the whole thing. And I think what he's worried about, if I'm CZ, I'm super worried about jail time at that point. So I think, you know, that's where he has to be super careful here. I mean, come on, you know, I mean, they're gonna, you know, you get stuff like that, that sort of gets fast tracked in any kind of judicial proceedings.
Absolutely.
But I, you know, look, I think you could have settled this 3 years ago, 2 years ago. You know, and how everybody got, I mean, I guess he's in trouble also for supposedly encouraging everybody to use, you know, messaging apps, you know, Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp.
And with auto delete on.
Yeah, and I'm not emailing. Now, I mean, does that demonstrate intent to evade or intent to obstruct? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would have to, I think the communications about it would have to be in the context of, hey, this topic needs to come off email so we don't have any trace of it, right? I mean, that would be, I think that's a hard thing to prove. But maybe that's a conspiracy charge.
But I think that, look, I also think that's just good basic safety tradecraft, you know, at the corporate level. But I guess if you're a public company, you know, obviously that's not, you know, then you're overseen and regulated. But private companies, I don't know. I think you can do whatever you want. You don't have to preserve communications for anybody. No. If you're a private company.
Exactly. If you're not like formally, you know, under investigation at the time of the communications.
Yeah.
So,
and you have to be doing something underlying that's illegal in the sense. And I think they're going to try to connect the North Korea Iran stuff to that.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you went to a regular private company, if they're just doing whatever, furniture, and nobody cares. But if they're like dealing drugs and funneling money through that business, yeah, then everybody's going to be all over that. And they're going to get you on wire fraud and
Exactly.
all the financial stuff. So I think the key is CZ has to stay out of that criminal side and just settle on the unregulated financial stuff.
Just take the fine, man. Just fucking take the fine. So I'm pretty convinced the founder of DeFi Llama is basically an AI, because I don't know how the fuck this guy keeps this up. He took he forked MetaMask and removed all the privacy infringing shit. Evidently, it wasn't a ton of code, but
I think I heard 8 lines, so you could verify it really easy.
Yeah. But he, I love this action, right? Take the largest wallet in existence, fork it, get rid of the privacy invasive shit, and get rid of the default RPC being in Furo, and look what you got, And frankly, I think it's probably going to end up being a DeFi Llama product at some point, because it makes sense for everything that they're building. They're building out nodes, infrastructure. They're building out tools. Look, it's only a matter of time before they work to try to become an interface in some way. And it makes sense for them to, throw this out there, let people see it, let people use it, and then, rebrand it because it's friggin' open source. So.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. What I wanted to ask you about was, what again are your favorite wallets? When we look at something that's
Robbie, and I still use MetaMask on occasion for testnet stuff and that kind of thing. But I use Robbie because the user experience is superior to any wallet that I've ever tried. Has the integration with the bank, so you see all your balances, everything's there, all the functionality is awesome. They keep up to date, adding new chains all the time. It's just, for me, it's a far superior user experience for managing my crypto. I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. That's what I was curious about, because, I don't worry too much about I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't worry about it. But the point is that I know that it doesn't just broadcast the wallet address, I guess, that you're coming from. It now groups all your accounts together.
Associated ones, yeah.
Yeah. So like I have multiple accounts, that for different projects or different, risk levels or NFTs or whatever. But now it automatically puts all those together. And if you're broadcasting your IP address, then it links all of those together with your IP address. Yeah. So, that's the, again, VPN, you just don't want it all tied together. Not for the regulatory folk. I don't care about them. I mean, the ones I'm worried about, again, it's the AI big tech algorithms.
Yeah.
That's what I'm, preparing against, I guess is the way to put it. Yeah. Gov is gov, everybody's got to deal with their government.
Exactly. On another note, I thought this was pretty cool. I'm going to no, that's not going to work. I just thought this was a cool thing to just quickly look at. This is a new Bitcoin-based point of sale terminal in New Zealand. But the cool thing about it is, can everybody see that? Let me enlarge that a little bit. The cool thing about it is that there is a NFC card associated with it, Bitcoin branded, that approves transactions. So it's just a point of sale terminal, which is what retailers use to do transactions, allows you to put in the amount. And instead of scanning the barcode, you just take your Bitcoin NFC card and tap it like you would a credit card at the top. And it approves the transaction, and boom, it's in and out of your wallet and you're done. So this is really cool. And, we talked in the past about it's Lightning. And we talked in the past about, payments actually needing to be made easier and done better. This is a much easier process. If you've got the card, and of course you can scan the barcode, there's point of sale systems with the barcode, but the fact that there's this NFC card that you can just tap and boom, your transaction goes through is really cool to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, talk about easy use. I mean, it's just like walking to a Starbucks. You just bang, the chip card on there and you're gone, or you bang your phone and you're gone. I mean,
yeah, it's
this
beautiful.
is cool.
James says, unfortunately, I haven't found anything better than MetaMask for switching networks and RPCs. Would love to find something else with MetaMask's level of customization. Well, now you don't have to give up MetaMask's level of customization that you like, and nor your privacy. So I'm putting the link in the show notes so you can go get that, or you can just search on, go to 0xngmi at Twitter. And he's one of his most recent threads. So anyway, I love this. I think this is brilliant. I'd like to see more of this kind of shit that makes it easy for retailers to take money and customers to spend it directly as crypto. When we see these integrated with credit card processing terminals is when this shit's really going to blow up, because that means we've gotten to the level of adoption where the processors want to do this level of integration. So it's great. Well,
and also you can then piggyback the most massive kind of distribution system into stores. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Facebook might be bigger internationally. I don't know, but you're going to get a big chunk of use case there.
Absolutely.
With Visa, MasterCard, American Express, that kind of shit. This is game changing.
Yep. If you guys are Beanstalk holders, my buddy Sink has been fighting really hard to get Hats Finance, who I just interviewed, by the way. Their episode's coming out this week. To get Hats Finance folks, the bug bounty folks, to try to scrape back some of the exploit money that was lost. And they've had some success in the past on some other projects. If you are, in fact, a holder, you should go, in my opinion, do your own research. But in my opinion, this deserves a yes vote. So I would love to see this pass. There's nothing to lose. It doesn't cost the project anything unless they recover something. And I think it's really good for Beanstalk to at least be pursuing this and trying to get the funds back. So
can you remind us, or me, what exactly happened back in April?
So their governance system was exploited. The person was able to, there was a weakness in the code for the DAO, and it was on-chain governance. And so they were able to do a flash loan, have enough funds to put a governance proposal up, had enough funds to pass the governance proposal with what they had, and did all that, and then drained and the proposal was basically to drain everything out. And so
they hijacked it, then hacked it, basically, or took the money. So it was like 60 million, right? 60?
72, I believe.
Okay. Well, but I love that they didn't run away and go hide in Serbia or something like that, like somebody else we know, or we don't know him personally, but I mean.
Yeah. Well, look, they not only didn't, they doxed themselves to assure the community that they were not the ones that stole the funds. So
I think that's, I just give them stuff. I mean, I don't really, I know you know them a lot better than I do. And some others in our community do too, but I just love that behavior.
Yep.
I love it when you own up to the mistake and try to make it right.
Well, you put your ass on the line, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, other than just saying, oh, fuck it didn't work, let's start another one.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Here's our new Telegram.
Do Kwon. So I decided the other day, I noticed a couple of things happening on Gnosis, and so I decided to go take a look at it. And I looked at DeFi Llama, and the largest, I think you're going to find this interesting, Joe. The largest TVL on DeFi Llama is a project called Realty, REALT, realty.co. And this is fractionalized real estate investing in consumer rental properties, primarily in Michigan, but it's the real deal. They're already doing deals. They have a built-in basic guarantee of a % gain on rent from rent, and then you get the future valuation increase in the property itself. Now, I will tell you, Niblet said that the guys at Beanstalk conducted a masterclass in damage control. Totally agree, dude. They were relentlessly talking. But you can buy fractions of these apartment buildings and get a collection of rent every month as low as $50. In the United States, you have to KYC and dox yourself and the whole bit. Foreign, you do not. So I recorded a quick little screen grab just to show everybody. Let me pull up this video real quick. Some examples of some of the stuff on the platform. So, you know, this is, to me, the kind of shit that you and I talk about all the time, Joe, is, you know, these are low income apartment buildings. They're not the prettiest or cleanest things in the world, but they're not. I did note that this particular one where I'm showing the screenshots was not Section 8, but for like $50, you know, you can own a piece of an apartment building and gain 6 to 8%, I think was the range on rent every year, plus the value of the property once it's sold, because you own a fraction of that property. So total investment in this one is $727,000 by the.
Is that the whole building? That's
yeah,
the
it's
whole
a whole
building,
apartment
right?
building, an entire apartment.
Yeah, I was going to say Detroit real estate, if that's where it is, or Flint, or wherever.
It's in that area of Michigan between Ann Arbor
I was going
and
to say,
Detroit.
there aren't any condos going for $720,000.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can look at this. So rent per token at the tokens, I think $50 each is $5. You're going to get $5 a year from it.
Yep.
Right. So 10% expected income plus the increased valuation in the property over time.
No, I like this. I mean, you guys know I was in that project 17 years ago that was trying to like fractionalize buildings, you know, with, you know, this is pre-crypto. So it was you know, essentially participation rights instead of tokens. And, you know, you could go buy a piece of the Chrysler building for $1, you know, or something like that. And that's what people want, because those deals, to get into those, I mean, usually, you know, there's minimums of like 2.5, 5 million, 25, 50, because they just don't want to manage 5,000 people. They want to manage 3 people and their expectations. So I like that stuff a lot. I think that I'm wondering though on the foreign participation, because they changed some laws recently on foreign investment in U.S. real estate. And I know that they basically eliminated the blind LLCs. So, you know, you have to disclose, but I don't know how that affects, you know, retail. So I'd be curious to see how that works out.
When I was looking at the website, there were deals that were specifically U.S. only.
Okay.
And then there were deals. So I'm assuming they're structuring it regulatory wise in some interesting way. I have no idea specifically how they're doing that. I'm just trying to
What was the name of it? It was Realty, right?
Realty.co. REALT.co. I'm trying to find Gnosis on friggin' DeFi Llama, and I can't find it. I don't know why.
I want to see who the team is.
And I think there was 60 million in this protocol already. Was the number, like 62 million, or might have been 52 million. But you know, I love seeing this kind of, you know, we talk all the time about connecting to the real world. So I really love seeing these connections happening. To me, it's fantastic. Yeah,
no, I'm sorry. I switched to another thing. You're talking about Gnosis now? All right. No, I was just looking at the management team of Realty.
No, I'm talking about Realty. I'm talking about the fact that it's, you know, that this bridges the gap, and that it's impressive that it's on Gnosis. Gnosis, by the way, is a side chain. I didn't know specifically what it was, but that's actually what it is. So Realty has 62.22 million TVL, and it makes up, well, they don't include it. That's interestingly, they don't include it in the total because I have liquid staking turned off, but it's, you know, 62.22 million in TVL for that project. So the largest project on the Gnosis chain.
They got a pretty, you know, it looks like about 60 employees or so, you know, some advisors.
Yeah. It's very old school. But like I said, I love seeing this shit. It's
the more the merrier. Because look, if you
real world connections.
Well, look, you take that token of this unit, let's say, and, you know, then somebody else has a platform where you can stake that for, you know, yield or something like that. Or you can lend those out or borrow against them. I mean, this is what we want. So that, again, if you own a house, you know, we talked about where you could fractionalize your own house. And then instead of, you know, going into the home equity market, you know, maybe you just move 5% off to someone, or you sell 20% of the property to fractionalize interest.
Yep.
You know, and do it with NFTs or something. I mean, this is what's coming. And I think that space isn't it like $106 trillion or something like that. I mean, it's a giant
Gigantic.
sector.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
No, this is to me very smart. Because
Cool.
now the average person could come in for, $100,
Yeah.
$200, whatever. I love the fact that there's revenue, right? You're going to get a cut of the revenue of the rent that comes in, and you get, increase in valuation over time, right? So you got a long-term investment that can be flipped later, and
But also, I mean, I'm sure there's other ones. There'll be more marquee buildings too. But look, you could be buying your grandkids, a piece of the Chrysler building if you want,
right?
Or you could, hooking them up with marquee properties, around the world as a diversified portfolio on top of whatever else you're doing. So you don't have to go buy them condos and stuff. You just build them a diversified portfolio of properties around the world. And, you balance that. The real estate people know how to do that. And there's different, yields in different markets and risk in different markets. And you just construct a balanced portfolio. That shit grows, man. People always have to have somewhere to live.
Look, based in Boca.
Oh, really? Shit.
Yeah. It's interesting. Very interesting. I love it. So my sister-in-law has some funds tied up in Celsius. And Celsius this week has been fighting in court to spend the money of the people who had funds tied up. Now, we've talked in the past. I'm all for incentivizing employees to stay. They've lost like 300 employees out of the 500 they had. Wait, let me make sure I say that right. I was trying to see how many left. I thought it was 500 and they're down to 170. No, 370 to 170. So they've lost 200 out of 370 employees. So I'm all for incentivizing and using some cash, even if it comes out of creditors' pockets, to pay to retain people. I think it's important. But the interesting thing is the way they're doing this, because the judge ordered them this week to return $44 million that was in their custody accounts. But they are claiming and filing that the rest of the money, billions of dollars that they still have, it doesn't belong to the people who had deposits, because they deposited it into their earn account, which was their interest earning, yielding thing that actually, I guess, got them in trouble. And so they're basically saying it no longer belongs to users because under the terms of service, that became the company's funds to use as they saw fit. So looking a little sketchy. We'll see what happens. Right now, they just want to spend some money to retain employees. And so hopefully that's the only thing that they're trying with this angle and this argument, and they'll start working out a way to pay back people. But in the meantime, it looks kind of shitty. So.
Well, so wait, but yeah, it's all going to revolve around contract language at that point.
Of course.
So to me, I agree. It seems like, I mean, look, they're in bankruptcy court in Southern District of New York, if I remember. So, they're not going to be able to skate away with any kind of, there's no looting getting ready to go on here. Let me put it to you that way.
Right,
it's not going to happen.
Right.
But they probably need lawyer money and stuff, is my guess. But I don't see how you can legitimately, with a straight face, say, oh, they gave it to us. It wasn't custody. Oh, it's ours now. I mean, that's just the sleaziest shit. I mean, I hear this in other cases in the past, not crypto stuff, but, hedge funds where, somebody gave them, 10 million worth of stock, that then went down 90%. And so instead of returning the 10 million, they're trying to return the same stock that's gone down 90% and returning, 1 million and saying, oh no, we only owe you 1, when you don't, they owe 10, so
exactly.
This shit goes on all the time. And, judges sort this stuff out and opposing counsel cleans this up. So they're not going to be able to get away with anything.
They're trying to sell.
Your sister-in-law stuff in the earn, or okay?
I'm sorry. Say it. Yeah, they're trying to sell $18 million of stablecoins so they can pay for the reorg. So that, I think they had to make that argument in order to be able to sell that, right? And I don't think it's been decided yet by the judge. So, but basically, it says Celsius argued.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It says Celsius argues that users who deposited funds within its earn accounts gave up ownership when they agreed to the company's terms of service. So,
well, so it either says it or it doesn't, and they'll figure it out. But I don't mind the 18 million. I don't really mind because they do have to maintain operations. Maybe they could do the judge will say a promissory note or something, where it's like a shareholder loan kind of thing. It's not going to to the owners, but it's some way where there's a payback coming, and it just has to be certified because it is breaking, the custody agreement to spend it. So,
of course,
but I'm just glad they're in court, sorting it out. So we'll all know the truth eventually.
Hey, so Sushi launched their streaming payment service called Furo, and it's number one in payments TVL. Already has 137.19 million in TVL for amongst payment services. So that's pretty impressive. Llama Pays at 25.52 million. I didn't even know this category existed on DeFi Llama. So anyway,
are these streaming payment? Are these streaming payment places, or are these just okay? Got it.
Streaming payments. So impressive. I love seeing it. That's pretty fast. So glad to hear it. Anything I think to help boost that protocol is a good thing. And
what's the token? What's the token looking like?
There's today? What's Sushi doing? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll look it up while you talk.
I'm okay. I'm typing for the show note.
It looks like $1.18, unless $1.11.
Okay. Anyway, there's a lot going on at Sushi right now. They're struggling. They're going to have a long runway, about 1.5 years. And so, glad to see some success. I want to see that project succeed. So, but
I don't understand though, when he says they have a 1.5 year runway, I'd like to see the budget. And I'd like to see what the revenue streams are coming in here and what the actual amounts are. Because if you're saying that you got X in there and it's going to fund for 1.5 years, that doesn't seem to be talking about the revenue coming in or the profits coming in. A lot of times it's like they'll say that because the assumption is, okay, no revenue, no profits, no cash flow. This is how long we can last. I suspect if revenue and cash flow go up, that runway will lengthen.
Yeah, I think it's about current revenue averages. I'm sure they've published it in their community forums.
I don't really follow it.
He's basing this governance vote that they're doing on keeping all the X Sushi for 1 year to refurbish the treasury. So I would assume they've disclosed the budget. I know they've disclosed at least the salary parts because people were bitching and moaning about how much the developers were getting paid.
Like what I'd really like to see, and they published this, which is what is the monthly revenue?
Right.
What is the monthly, operating margin? What is the monthly EBITDA? And I want to see trends. When did this Jared guy show up? 5 months ago? What's happened in those 5 months?
I don't think it's even been 5 months. I think
2 or 3.
Yeah.
2 or 3. Yeah. I want to see like what it was before, what it is now, and where it's headed to, and make the case. Because, if there's no friggin' revenue there or no tremendous amount of cash flow, then what's the point?
Yeah.
There's 500 other things like this out there. So again, we're fighting over a limited community. Every Uniswap, Sushi Swap, every DEX, all of them. They're fighting for same customers, basically. Maybe chain specific, but the same amount, the same population. So you got to figure out which one you're going to bet on. Like, would you bet on Sushi Swap over, say, Cake? Or over, say, Kava?
I don't know.
I probably wouldn't over Cake, but I might over Kava. But the point is, this is what we need more of. And I haven't looked at this stuff, so I'm not trying to trash Jared. I'm just saying that everybody should be putting out that type of material.
Yeah, I think they put out a lot of details. I'll put this thread in the show notes.
Oh, cool.
Where he addresses everything. And then I think there's a ton in their governance.
I would just love to see financial statements. I mean, that's what everybody can understand.
Yep. So interesting competitor / new project in DeFi called ChainEDGE launched. by an account called On-Chain Wizard. And this is essentially less a competitor to DeFi Llama right now, more a competitor to Nansen and Masari, primarily Nansen, because there are a lot of people that trade by tracking the wallets of big investors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a platform in its initial stage, and this is a really great thread that explains everything they have now versus everything they're going to build later. But essentially, it allows you to look at any chain, and later you'll be able to search on wallets, you'll be able to search on projects, any chain or any project, and find out who the biggest investors are, and then see what else they're moving in and out of. And you'll be able to set alerts, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, it's limited. But so I clicked on ApeCoin, and then I have to click on bosswithbigballs.eth to see what he's doing. So they've basically culled the top wallets in all of DeFi, and now they're tracking them, and then you can work to mimic them. I'm assuming they'll set it up to automate. This guy was all ApeCoin. He removed 280,586 in the last 30 days from ApeCoin. But, it gives you, if you can come in here and build on this tool and find projects that are changing how they invest, or big investors and changing how they invest, or they invest in new projects and you think that might have value, it's a cool concept, and there are a lot of people that trade this way. So it's always good to see more competitors in the space, people doing new things. Anyway, it's ChainEDGE.io. So far, it's pretty rudimentary, but it still looks like a good play, and I like seeing it. So,
yeah, I particularly like what you said. Maybe other people do this, but I was just looking at like Umami because we were talking about that, and it just shows you everything that's going on there. I mean, as far as who's doing what, wallet's doing what. And I don't know, has anybody, because look, wallet behavior, like you said, is something that a lot of people track, but I haven't seen it organized like this, where, the display of that information to where it's, is somebody else doing it similar? This is the first time I've kind of really seen it like that.
Nansen does it. They have kind of a different approach to it, but Nansen is far more advanced right now. I mean, Nansen has been doing this for years, right? And they built the original open source project that started tracking wallet usage. So Nansen does it. Nansen also does it for NFTs. It's a much better interface, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, though, this one is free. Nansen charges big money every month to be able to see this kind of data. So good to see. He said they will have a premium product later. But anyway, I love seeing competitors in the space. I think it keeps everybody on their toes, and I'm going to use it while it's free. That's for sure. So,
yeah, absolutely. Super cool.
Toncoin is still driving, dude. Look at that. 3 months.
I know. When I looked at my prices this morning, and I was like, oh shit, Ton's at 209. Not as in shit like, God damn it, I should have bought that shit a long time ago. But I think that all the points that we brought up on the show, I think last week or the week before, all hold here. Everybody tries to raise money to build community. This guy's already have the massive community.
Massive.
Think about like the Cardanos and Stellars and Trons. When they did these $4 billion ICOs or $1 billion ICOs to go out and build community. And, they don't have any products, so they have very little. What I like about this is that all of those things are already there. And, and again, we talk about Durov and his skills and his team and why this makes so much sense. Even if it's not the US, for whatever reason, this is a preferred Telegram's a preferred platform for most of the world. For that type of for communications, particularly in all these countries that have, let's just put it, big drag nets of surveillance. They're just rolling everybody up at once, not like refining it down to get like the one person. You need it. So look about a threat to Facebook, even with all the Facebook commerce out there. This is one to. I don't own any of it, but I'm definitely looking at it thinking, this is not one that, this could rocket basically in my mind. It could blow up like we saw the blow ups last year and stuff. Was it last year? Yeah, last year. And, but again, caution.
Yeah.
And you're playing for a longer game here. I think you have to look at this as like, where can they, if they execute, where will they be in 3 years? I mean, to
Exactly.
me, when I looked at Binance and I realized they'd only been around 5 years, I was like, really? Only five? God, I thought they'd been around for years before we started using them in like 17. But you think about, where could this be in 5 years?
That's right.
I mean, can exchanges be sitting in here? Can AMMs be sitting in here? Yes, they can.
Absolutely.
So I'm really thinking about this. When I get a hit somewhere else, I'm going to start maybe taking some of this, but I'm kind of like been looking at a lot of decimal points with 3 zeros to the right and then a bunch of numbers. So when I see like 2.07, I'm like, it's one of those ones where I'm like, oh, okay, got to think it through.
And look, I want to see a lot more DeFi on the platform, but from a payment perspective, tons of potential, just tons of fucking potential. Influencer communities, creators, all can use it, use tokens, build on Instagram. I mean, it just makes so much sense. Shizzy, don't forget though, Shizzy said he's concerned about the tokenomics. And I can't remember what that concern was.
No, I'll tell you. It's that they've only issued 10% of the circulating supply. And that's the red flag when we looked at Cardano's and Stellars and all those guys, Trons in the past. I mean, I think the debate here is that, those guys were all going to use it to build something, product and network. To me, I'm thinking that those tokens, my guess, and I don't know, but I'm thinking there's somehow like a consumption type token on the platform. I don't think that they're going to be used for like token generating events. I think that you're going to go and maybe use them to, set up your business account there or something like that.
Maybe.
So I don't know if it's going to really dilute like the other ones, but I have no insight. So, I mean, I remember I read the original white paper, the pulled one like 5 years ago. I think I still have it somewhere, but I haven't seen like the revised stuff on strategy and everything like that. So I need to know a little bit more about that. But, I'm sure we can figure that out, all of us, in the next couple of weeks, what their plan is there. And then, if it's stupid, we'll call them out for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to stop talking while you're eating.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no, it's
smart ass. Shizzy says no max supply. The total supply is 5.1 billion, and the amount in circulation is 1.5 billion. So he's saying that because there's no max supply, obviously, they could just keep printing out of fucking thin air. I don't know what the mechanisms are for fermenting, though, so I have no idea. We should look more closely at this. Maybe we can get somebody on for an interview from Ton. I'll reach out.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, you see if you can find somebody, because I didn't notice that it was infinity on max supply. But again, how is it being used? That's what we have to really figure out. Because when Stellar and Tron and Cardano did those, it was an investment. People were buying them to fill up their treasury, so they had working capital to go execute on their vision. Most of this vision's already built, that level. And so to me, I think it has to be then a commerce token, or maybe like a utility type token or something to that effect. But let's all explore and figure this out.
And look, Ethereum has that infinite supply as well. It's just they've now built in the mechanisms to have the potential to be deflationary. So let's see what they do to adjust. But I haven't taken a deep enough dive into the community of the documents to say, yeah, I know, no, yeah. So, Joe, I got a hard stop at 4 minutes. But I want to bring up one more chain that is performing very well, especially over the last 30 days, up 47.86%, and that's Algoric, which we've actually Agoric that we've looked at before. Their token is BLD, and have had a nice, massive climb over the last 30 days, doing really well. I went back because I couldn't remember what the hell they did. It is a JavaScript-based blockchain that has built-in escrow on every transaction. So if a smart contract is malicious or buggy, your money is locked in an escrow contract and you can get it back on the transactions. But it's a highly secure subset of JavaScript, really impressive. And then when you look here, now look, I mean, investors are not haven't been guilty of a lot of due diligence. But when somebody like Kobe I'm sorry, that's a follower. But when somebody like Polychain Capital is a big investor in it, and all of these other big names in the space are investors in the chain, I need to go back and see what they raised, but I'm assuming it was a sizable chunk of cash. And I love the fact that they know how to do their fucking marketing. Their first approach is not come become a consumer here. It is build fast, earn fast, going straight for the fucking developers. And then throughout their website, they talk about security. It's hardened JavaScript. It's easy to deploy. It's not hard to find developers. You'll be able to build faster. They provide a library of modules. Everything is focused around developer recruitment, developer recruitment, developer recruitment. And to me, that's exactly where they need to be right now because they're brand new. But absolutely love everything about the messaging and the strategy here. I love what the project's doing. I love the idea of being able to tap into JavaScript developers around the world. It's probably the second largest population of developers next to Python. And they're sure as hell doing a better job than Algorand at recruitment and strategy. So I want to take a deeper dive into this one. I started reading the documents to understand how all of the safety mechanisms work in the escrow. I'm also taking a look at the modules that they give to developers to start creating right away, but really, really like where this thing is going. So anyway.
Yeah, that looks really cool. What were we talking about? The pools of Java developers. It was a project. What were we doing when we were talking about Java developers?
Well, we were.
Or maybe that was somebody else.
Yeah,
maybe that was somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I was talking, maybe that was the Macromedia guys. But yeah, it's that those Java people, there's so many. And, you know, when you're looking at the cost of Solidity devs and stuff like that, you know, that's a very untapped market. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, some stuff would have to be tweaked there and you're not getting the Solidity developer, but if you don't need it, then why not? And it brings more people into the space, more crypto enthusiasts. So, but yeah, Niblis brought up a good point too on that max token supply argument. And he's right. It is just really, you know, dividing tokens continuously no matter what. So it really doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah. Totally agree.
You know, like so I wasn't really thinking of it that way. I'm always thinking of it from an equity standpoint, like shares. Because to me, tokens are, I mean, I hate to say it, but not financial advice, but to me, at least they mimic stock behavior, you know,
exactly.
Not necessarily in the attachment to dividends, but in a lot of the other areas. So I always kind of think it's going to get to that level of share in a platform. But who knows?
Who knows?
But anyhow, I know you got to go, buddy. So,
hey, everybody, thanks so much for joining us today. Niblets, Susie, and James, thanks for participating in the conversation. We appreciate you and love you. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. By the way, you can now watch the videos on Spotify or listen to the audio, not while you're driving, please. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe, click the little bell so you get alerted. And please, what do they say? Smash the thumbs up so that we get boosted in the algorithm. Joe, hope you had a lovely weekend. Hope you have a great day. I'll catch up with you a little bit later. Everybody else, thank you and adios.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Likewise. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Brad. Glad you're back.
See you, buddy.